Hello and welcome to GTM-FM, your one-stop shop for everything go-to-market. Each episode, we speak to a go-to-market expert and reveal their knowledge, their insights, and their wisdom on a specific area of go-to-market. From product marketing, product launches, competitive intelligence, and overall go-to-market strategy, we cover everything you need to know about go-to-market. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the insights. Hey Olumide, thanks so much for taking the time to come onto the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
So before we sort of dive into it, could you introduce yourself to our listeners and give a bit of background on your sort of go-to-market career up to this point, what you're up to now, and a bit of experience, what your experience is.
Okay, so my name is Olumide Adaramoye. I like to see myself as a growth operator and a lifecycle marketing professional. I basically help fintech, SaaS, and B2C e-commerce companies to identify their most valuable demand and convert them into loyal customers while ensuring I optimize for retention. And also, I do this using delightful experiences and intelligent automation. Just looking at my go-to-market strategy career, I think have been involved in taking different products to market for the past 6 years of my career, starting with mostly fintechs across different regions in Africa, typically Nigeria. So I've worked with a couple of fintechs, both across crypto, savings, payments, and right now I work with one of the largest consumer and business fintech focused companies in Nigeria, right? Basically by transaction volume, and I lead the CRM, which is customer relationship management and lifecycle marketing, right in the company. Glad to be here once again. Thank you.
That's an awesome sort of set of experience to bring onto the podcast as well. So today we're talking about sort of lifecycle marketing, like you mentioned, CRM and product analytics as well. Before we go into the specifics, why did you choose to focus on these today? Why do you sort of feel strongly about lifecycle marketing and CRM?
All right, thanks very much for that question. So last year, I realized that, especially within our time in Africa, there's a lot of attention given to acquiring new users, going to market, product launches, right? And there's little or no attention given to actually activating these users, getting to unlocking value for the users, also unlocking value for the business, also getting the users, building different growth loops to basically keep the users to continually use the product and develop an habit around using the product, right? And so I'm keen on behavioral economics. I consider myself a student of behavioral economics, and I'm very, very much keen to understand how humans behave, right? Also how they take action, the different factors that influence their actions. I see CRM and lifecycle as that sort of intersection that enables me to bring my growth quest, my behavioral economics interest, and also my interest in terms of like product analytics and data into one fold, right? And so that's why I double down on CRM and lifecycle marketing.
That makes a lot of sense. And how do you sort of personally define lifecycle marketing in a GTM context? When you think lifecycle marketing, what are you thinking of?
Okay, so when I think about lifecycle marketing, I literally think about building the right flows in order to send the right messages, the right offers at the right moment to the right set of users in order to enable them to basically continue and nurture their growth within the company, right? So let me just rephrase that also. I'm basically focused on lifecycle marketing, basically focused on building the right flows in order to trigger the right messages to the right set of people at the right moment, just to be able to grow their value, both the value they are extracting from the company or the product and the value they are receiving, the value they are giving to the product.
That makes a lot of sense. And how can companies build effective lifecycle marketing flows and align with their go-to-market goals? What do companies need to think about when they're thinking about lifecycle marketing?
Okay, so I think largely when you think about lifecycle marketing, you need to you have to think with the goal in mind, right? And you have to think also on a personal level, right? So I have like this three mantra, which is you're trying to deliver the right messages to the right set of users at the right moment, right? And so when you're going to market, you're literally trying to gain traction. You're going to get early traction from a set of users. Like your product is probably new in the market, or it's probably an existing product, and you're launching new subsidiaries under it, or you're launching additional features under it, right? And in this case, you're trying to win the hearts of a select few, right? You're trying to win the hearts of people you call your lovable audience, right? And in order to do that, you need to be very much deliberate about the kind of messages, like the messaging, the unique value proposition of your product, like the different channels which you leverage. So now you've gone to market, you've taken your product to market, you've had this first splash in the ocean, made a lot of people to know about your product, probably gotten a couple of users. But you don't want to just stop there, right? And that's where life cycle comes in. You don't stop there and say, hey, okay, we probably after doing this launch, after doing this, executing this go-to-market strategy plan, we probably have a couple of users now. Let's rest on our hours. No, you want to be able to nurture those users. You want to be able to provide those users with the right information, with the right knowledge, with the right motivation, with the right offers to enable them to maximize the value they derive from the product. And in turn, you also maximize the value you derive from them. And this value is not necessarily just limited to monetary value, right? You being able to understand the users actually engaging in the product gives you very, very much rich data about how your customers or how the product is meant to be used. It gives very much rich data about what the different hidden values that even you yourself have not discovered within the product. It gives you very, very much rich data. Basically gives you data and feedback. And that is very, very much important for the growth of the product over time. So I believe strongly that you have to start with the goal in mind, which is you want to not just stop at getting these users into the product or to get them to use the product for the first time, but you want to basically get them to continually extract value from the product, and in turn you're able to extract value from them. Once you think about it from this, right, then you start to walk backward on the journey. Like you start to consider the journey. What is the typical journey that the user will take in order to like get the first value from the product and also continually get value, right? And that would enable you to now to basically know the different touch points, the different touch points, the different light bulbs, the different specific scenarios which you're able to target the users and give them delightful experiences through their journey with the product. So literally, once again, start with the end goal in mind. Know that you are trying to develop a relationship with the user, not just a one-off experience. Number two, walk backwards, look at the journey for the users, look at what their typical journey will look like. Then number three, discover the different moments, the different light bulbs, the different touch points with which you can now create delightful experiences for the users through lifecycle marketing.
That's really interesting. And in terms of, for my next question, I want to ask, what sort of common mistakes do you see companies make when implementing lifecycle marketing? How should they avoid them? I'm thinking of a listener who's like thinking, yes, I need to really start thinking about lifecycle marketing. What would you sort of warn them? Is there any common mistakes that you see that they should be sort of ready to tackle?
Okay, so I think there are a couple of mistakes that companies make, right? And I like the fact that you've actually asked this question because basically will enable us to help and share. I also be able to share from my experience what companies, what growth and product guys should basically avoid when thinking around developing lifecycle campaigns for go-to-market success, right? So I think one of the first things companies do is they take lifecycle as a one-size-fits-all, right? And so what that means is because we have this notion that yes, okay, let's get onto it, let's do lifecycle marketing. More often than not, companies just have a one-size-fits-all for the lifecycle marketing. So they have a set of users that they've acquired and they decide to blast everyone with different messages, right? So without implementing personalization, without segmenting the different users based on their usage, based on their demographics, based on the specific other details, they basically just send the same set of messages to every single user, right? So that's like number one. Companies basically have a one-size-fits-all push and blast method for lifecycle marketing. And that won't work, right? Because every single user have different peculiarities. They have different dynamics and they want to be treated differently. They have so it's always good to have a personalized engagement with your customers or a personalized engagement with your users, literally. And that would involve you thinking about segmentation, thinking about how you want to necessarily target the users, how you want to include a couple of personalized experiences based on the user's history to you, how you want to input that into the whole lifecycle workflow. So that's number one mistake. And I think the best thing to do is what I've already advised, which is to implement personalization, segmentation, and leverage data basically to be able to create personalized experiences for the user. So the second mistake I've seen a lot of companies also make is the fact that they leave it late, right? So lifecycle marketing most of the time in terms of like go-to-market success basically comes as an afterthought. So after more often than not, companies basically are focused on, hey, we want to make a big splash within the market. We want to be able to get a lot of awareness. We want to be able to, shout about our products. We want to be able to put our products and our marketing materials in a lot of people's faces, right? And let's see how that let's see how that works. Let's see how that goes within the market. But when you do that, they put lifecycle marketing as an afterthought. So there are a lot of resources that is dedicated, towards getting that big early splash, while not a lot of consideration is given to what happens after. So when the users have signed up, right, both B2B, B2C, when they are signed up, what happens next? What do you want to do with the users? How do you want to engage the users? How do you want to keep I'm not sure that relationship we have actually been able to develop with the user. And that's where lifecycle is very, very much important. So rather than leave it late, it's very good to, during the process of go-to-market strategy, very good to include lifecycle marketing within that strategy itself, such that we are able to define what happens immediately after the user signs up, what happens immediately on first contact, on second contact, on third contact, what happens, right? If in case there are drop-offs, what happens? So treating those different cases of contact, drop-offs, and milestones, the users reaching milestones are very, very much important things that will enable you to foster go-to-market success within your go-to-market strategy. I think the third thing that companies also do is most companies, they basically don't dedicate resources to lifecycle marketing. And I will explain. So because lifecycle marketing is often posed as a cheaper means of being able to keep the relationship going, and because you don't necessarily have a lot of spend compared to like when you're leveraging paid ads, or you are doing demand generation, or you are trying to speak to influencers. You don't necessarily have to commit that level of resources into lifecycle marketing. But that doesn't mean you are still not going to commit resources. You definitely need to commit resources. You're getting a solid customer engagement tool, or it's got a solid CRM, is you dedicating resources to lifecycle marketing. You're getting a solid and experienced CRM expert or lifecycle marketing professional, is you dedicating resources. So companies they shouldn't leave it late. They shouldn't have a one size fits all, and they should also dedicate resources, get the right tool, get the right person, get the right team, furnish the team with the right resources they need, and also get the right data into their CRM in order to enable all these things, both the tool, the people, to be able to achieve success. So those are like the three mistakes I've seen companies make, and these are the ways I think they can basically resolve that. Thank you.
That's really interesting, and that leads really well into my next question, which was on the CRM side of things. How can businesses make sure that their CRM is actually supporting their lifecycle marketing efforts? You mentioned there a little bit about sort of making sure that the data is in place. How do you make that link? How do you make sure that they're sort of supporting each other in that way?
Okay, so I think what I've seen that has worked is having a very fine balance and a very fine blend between your go-to-market, your front-facing go-to-market tools, and what I'll call your back-facing go-to-market tools, right? So your front-facing go-to-market tools will largely be your demand generation tools, your paid ads tools, your organic marketing tools, right? Those tools basically you leverage for your acquisition efforts. Either you're leveraging LinkedIn ads, Google ads, paid ads, Google search ads, Google display ads, if you decide to further expand your bucket, right? Or you are leveraging third-party publishers, right? Or you're leveraging basically organic marketing, you're leveraging influencer marketing and the rest of it. Those are very good ones, but you also need to ensure that there's smooth data streaming from those acquisition platforms into your CRM, and that's where the work of someone I'll call a marketing automation specialist or a martech specialist comes in, whereby they're equipped with the right knowledge and the right resources to be able to connect those platforms to your CRM tool, and such that your acquisition platforms are basically feeding data into your CRM tool, and your CRM tool is on based on the different engagements you are doing, right, on your lifecycle marketing, and basically also feed those acquisition data and make it better, right? So there's only for that fine balance and that fine blend between both of them, that the two tools are speaking to each other, and there is no sort of gap in code communication between two tools. I believe strongly that by doing that, you are basically going to 10x the chances and basically you're going to basically 10x your effectiveness, both in terms of conversion on the acquisition front and also in terms of getting results on your lifecycle marketing. So that's number one. I think number two is the fact that there needs to be able to get the right instrumentation. So your CRM tool definitely has its own instrumentation. What I mean by instrumentation is how you basically feed data into the tool, both in terms of events, attributes, specific reporting, right? So there's need for proper instrumentation of your CRM tool, right? And by doing this, you basically set yourself up for long-term success, because once you get the foundation right, going forward is going to be as seamless as possible. And the different tools will basically be talking to each other consistently. So that's the second thing. I think the third thing that people can do is to get something I would call an integrated data tech stack, right? Or integrated data structure. And what does this mean? It means that just like I mentioned earlier, which is you have to get your tools talking together. So whenever your tools talking together, you need to have a single source of truth, right? Which can either be your data warehouse or your customer data platforms, which basically they receive the different information from multiple third-party platforms or your multiple acquisition platforms, and be able to now feed through ETLs, both ETLs and ELTs, right? Through ETLs and ELT processes, they're able to feed data into the relevant back into the relevant CRM platforms, right? And so that way you are confident that you have a singular source of truth, right? That you can basically call upon. So every single time you need the true representation of each of your customer profiles within your CRM or within your company bucket, right? You can easily call it forth from your data warehouse or from your customer data tool that is connected to your data warehouse also. And that way you are confident that your CRM is fed with the right information, with the right events, with the right attributes, with the right instances for your user base, literally. I think these are the three major things I think you can basically like set up in order to like set up your CRM tool for success.
That makes a lot of sense. And off the back of that, when you're thinking about success, do you have certain metrics that you look at and think like these are the top 3 metrics, for example, that I'm always looking at when I'm linking all of this up? When you think of metrics, what do you think of?
Okay, so largely when I think of metrics, because CRM deals with a lot of bottom of the funnel, all right, I like to think of my metrics in terms of like bottom of the funnel, literally, right? And so one of the major things is in terms of lead. I don't give it the general name because I know there are a lot of different metrics. Some people prefer to call it opportunities. Some people prefer to call it they are closed ones, opportunities, and the rest. But I just like to see leads to the final sales conversion funnel, right? So like, what's the conversion rate from leads, acquiring of lead, into like the final sales, whatever we consider as final sales, either a closed one, for the rest of it. I love to see what's the conversion rate, because that's a very, very much important factor. That's very, very much important funnel that the CRM is largely responsible for, right? So that's number one, the conversion rate, the leads to sales conversion rate, number one. Number two is the fact that we also want to be able to see, to enable us to know the leads to sales conversion, right? There are a couple of other factors that basically feed into this, right? And you want to ensure that you're tracking each of those things, right? So I also want to see, aside the leads to sales conversion, I also want to see what is our deliveries, like what are our deliveries, right? Right? Because if messages, your campaigns don't get delivered to users, they won't, basically you have no opportunities to convince them or to pull them in. Right, so what are deliveries, right? And that would consist of what's the delivery rate, what's the open rate, what's the click-through rate, and the rest of it, right? In addition to that, I also want to see specifics about the cost, right? Specific about the cost to return. So I want to see what is our average contract value like, right? So what's the average contract value like? What's the sales cycle in terms of how long does it take for us to be able to win over deals? How long does it take for us to be able to convert these leads into into sales, right? So these are the top metrics I look at, right, in order to improve basically in terms of CRM marketing and in terms of lifecycle marketing. So I look at the lead to sales conversion pipeline. I look at the delivery metrics, which is delivery rate, open rate, click-through rate, and the rest of it. Right. I also look at what's the cost to return ratio like, right? And so that's where I speak about the average contract value, right? And also, the average contract value and also the time taken, which is the sales cycle, the average sales cycle for each of the deals. So these are like my top metrics.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm keeping one eye on the time at the moment. So before we wrap up, if listeners could just take one thing away from this episode, what should that be? What's the most important thing that you would tell anyone if they really need to know, and they can only take away one thing from this episode?
Okay, so I think what I want everyone to know is basically like lifecycle marketing is not magic, right? It takes deliberate effort. It takes deliberate effort. It requires a strategy, and you need to be ready to make it work, right? Once again, lifecycle marketing is not magic. It's not a magic wand. It takes deliberate effort. It requires a strategy and also your will to make it work.
I really like that. That's a great way to end it. Thank you so much, Olumide, for coming onto the show. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure our listeners will have learned a lot from that as well.
Awesome. It's a great pleasure for me too. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to GTM-FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice and to tune in next time for even more go-to-market insights. See you next time.